So
Fantastic.
coming to the reason why I reached out to you on LinkedIn, being with Institute of Product Leadership, what I realized is that those who want to get into the field of data science and analytics or even artificial intelligence as a whole, they find it quite difficult to find the right resource or speak to the right person or find the right approach to get into this field. The field is quite new as compared to other fields. Like if you want to become a doctor, a medical doctor, you know the path to take to. If you want to become the accountant, you know the path to take to. But here, the case, this field is quite, defined. You mainly what they do is that maybe a college student who wants to get into the field of data science or analytics, or maybe even those who want to do career transition, do some Google search, find some stuff there, whether it's relevant or not. You just go by it, and then sometimes they can even enroll in a long-term course for maybe a year or two, and then along the line they realize the field is not even for them. So I said, let me take it upon myself and then reach out to people who have been to probably the same frustration before or passed through the same field before, and then they can share the experience. Then the experience is going to serve as a guide for those who want to get into it, whether beginners or career transition. And so that's mainly the reason why I reach out to you. And putting together this resource in the form of a book, which is going to serve as a guide for these young ones and also those who want to do career transition. Because if maybe the person was to be your junior brother or maybe your junior sister or maybe your child, they could have reached out to you directly and then asked that, okay, I want to get into this field, so kindly guide me. Then you could have suggested
Absolutely.
to do. Yeah. But here is the case, the person might be somewhere. I also passed through the same frustration because I also did my master's in data science, the same frustration that I passed through before getting that. So I can also put myself in the same shoes. And I said, okay,
Absolutely.
let me take it upon myself and then do it in that way. Reach out to people so that they can share the experience. Then the experience is going to serve as a guide for them. That's mainly the idea behind it of reaching out to you on LinkedIn. So I hope that is okay with you.
Oh, thank you. I think, Bright, first of all, there is a huge amount of dilemma which is increasing today in the young minds.
Mm, mm,
It's a very lucrative career, but in every lucrative career, there are potholes.
mm,
You need to go through a lot of hardship
mm,
actually in this space, and you taking it up, and I'm sure you would be talking to some bright people in this
mm,
space who have gone through that journey and
yeah.
who are living this journey every day, right? So first of all, thank you so much. You considered me to be giving you some answers. Whether I'll be able to do
Mm,
justice to or not,
yeah.
I don't know,
Mm,
but I can share my experience. So this is my 19th year of working. Right, I crossed 19th, so this is my 20th year.
great.
I graduated 2001, postgraduate
Great.
2001, in statistics and mathematics. Uh, Stats was my majors,
Mm,
and mathematics was my minors. I had no clue
mm,
whether I should, because the time that I started,
mm,
Java was at boom,
mm,
right? So if you are not a Java programmer,
mm,
you will not get a job.
exactly.
That's the miracle. And then what happens is basically uh, you are confined to um, small amount of jobs in the space of risk management,
Mm,
right? That was evolving that one time. There was nothing called analytics.
mm,
It was about risk and quality. Those were the areas where the data was taken up and something was done, basically, right? So credit scoring evolved. So somebody has to get a credit card,
mm,
and that credit card goes through that, and then theoretically there are actuarists and those people who make laws. They were the people who were the data analysts. So that is where life started,
yeah.
right?
Mm,
And as I say, data science is an evolution,
mm,
right? We started from probably
mm,
a bit superiority as a human being. We started from probably Ice Age, right? Where we actually knew something is there, right? From a perspective, we never started making fire like other in the primitive 1 million years back human beings, right? Now, slowly and steadily, the 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 with technology getting increased, right? The adoption has become wide scale, right? Evolution of technology. So whatever that we use in data science today, right? And the primitive base is mathematics, statistics, and algorithms, right? On top of it, you understand the problem. What is the data science? Data science is all about you understand the problem and you solve that problem using data. If the problem does not even involve data, there are other methodologies to do this, to find a solution. So typically we find two types of people where there are people, and no offenses to anyone, but there are people who try to force fit data into a particular solution. Whether the solution requires data or not is a different problem, but you force fit data. There are problems where there is data. Either the data is quite huge, people don't have domain knowledge or an expertise, and so on and so forth, came into picture, right? That is where actually the data analytics or data science comes in. Now, over the last 19-20 years, what I found is that there is no straight linear line to get into data science, actually. But what is important? What is important is before you graduate, today, because there are so many resources, before even graduate, for example, I take, let's say, a 4-year graduation stream, just an example, any stream that you are in, right? Let's say masters or bachelors, whatever that you want to do it, right? Whichever bachelors or masters you are, you don't need to do a master's in data science to get into data science, right? The people who have invented products like Facebook, right, and so on and so forth, they were never data scientists.
Exactly.
Right? They were pure mathematicians. So why did they do something which does not require specific expertise? Because the mother of everything that we do in the world is mathematics, and the father of everything that we do is physics. You can, if you are a graduate in these two streams, probably you have a lateral advantage of understanding a typical part of a problem. But it does not mean that you cannot come from finance or accounting and so on and so forth, right? Now, first you need to have a passion to work on mathematics, and I'll come to why do you need to have a literal passion to do work on mathematics. When you get into the first year, and from the second year onwards, and I know a lot of kids today who are doing internships. So you should definitely get into internship. In the first year, your motto should be to learn at least basics of Python, right? Because it's very competitive today, right? In Indian subcontinent, in Indian way of teaching, Python has been introduced already from the high school, right? So, which is quite advantageous for the kids today, right? The parents need to encourage the kids to get into that game. So I'm starting very early from the career. It is always an evolution. If you land upon the first day of the job and you don't know science, then it's going to be very difficult. So you need to have a flavor for science. You need to have an interest in science. That's important. Now, once you get into first year, then you come to the second year. You should start from third semester, something like that. You should start getting into internship, whether it is paid or unpaid. It doesn't matter. It has to be a particular problem that needs to be solved, right? And reach out to that and strengthen your base backgrounds. Two things are comparatively very popular. People who do programming, right, has got its own advantage, but the world coming forward would have very less amount of programming which will be required. So your interest in mathematics and programming has to be there, right? Wherever minimal it is required, math has to be very much there, because you need to solve a particular type of problem. The one thing that you can build is interest in a particular domain.
Mm.
For example, I started with HSBC's risk management practice based out of London. And then I traveled and did something. When I landed up after 5 years in in automotive industry, I had no clue that I would have 5 days of a working week, right? And then I will suddenly land up in a space which is extremely different. So the domain changed entirely, right? I was in quality in both the places. Risk management and quality go hand in hand. But just in 4 years, I had to transition into manufacturing because there was no other client. This was the biggest client that I got, right, from the perspective. What I had to do is basically in the first day, I started speaking about mathematics, linear algebra, and and uh, and differential statistics and so on and so forth. What came as a problem is that nobody understood what I'm speaking. It was all jargon, right? And then the director of the plant said that, Roy, why don't you go ahead and stay for 1 month in a plant and see how we live the life. It is very important so hence understanding of domain is very important, right? Your fundamental, as I said, has to be very strong, right? Mathematics, programming, right, is important. Even though you lack programming, you can pick it up, right, in due course of time, right, from their perspective. However, your fundamentals of science has to be very strong. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult for you, right? Now, as I said, right, so I had to spend 2 months doing nothing, just to observe how a conveyor belt works, how does a plant work, how does a factory work, and so on and so on. Right? Can I get it in college? Never. Is it same today? Yes, it is the same today. Things don't change fundamentally in terms of domain, right? 1 year back before Corona, people knew Netflix, right? Today, sitting at home, we are only dependent on Netflix because you cannot go to a movie theater, right? Of course, after 1 year down the line, we expect both to coexist, but we both know the reality. So hence, adaptation by data scientists. If you really want to be data scientist, you need to adapt to multiple domain problems.
Great.
That's important. Adapting is very important. If you say, oh no, I did my B Pharma. I did a pharmaceutical degree and data science. Throughout my life, I'll only be in pharma. You will become redundant. You will not exist. You need to evolve with time. That's important, right? That means, what is the evolution? Evolution in learning technology, evolution in learning process, and evolution in managing people or storytelling to the people.
It's 11 o'clock.
No, it's okay. It's my laptop. We keep on mentioning time.
Oh, okay.
That's fine.
There are three things which get, so once you are in the fourth year, if you started from the second year, you landed up on fourth year of your final year of degree, you would have at least completed 2 internships. Basically, right? Never choose same internship again. Understand? Right? Now let's come to what is data science. So you're in the fourth year. You want to land up in a job, right? You will make a breakthrough because you have already done 2 internships, right? You will easily get a job because you already know through internship how products are created, how solutions are made, how does an organization work. In a company, when you start working, it's not your mathematical ability which will work. It is about how I talk to Bright. Because Bright is supposed to tell how efficient is Roy. It's not my mathematical understanding. It is how better I can make you understand the solution to a particular problem. That is what you learn when you start learning. Now let's understand that you did everything and you landed up in a job. You did your fundamentals. During during this 4 years of, as in 2 internships, you also have to spend your Saturdays and Sundays to participate in probably hackathons, right? Um, though I'm very skeptical about some of the hackathons because the data is pre-created, and in an actual world, there is actually no data which is created.
Exactly.
You need to first understand that data scientist spends 98% of its time preparing the data, which has got multiple stages. There is no data which is created.
Exactly.
Right? So you don't get a platter in your head. Right? You'll just get a chicken. How do you cut it is your problem.
Exactly.
Okay, you
It's
want to do
for you to just eat it.
Yes, so life is not that simple. It's not a rosy world outside. Okay, let's try to understand that.
Exactly.
So how do you mitigate that? So before you land up in a job, you need to make sure that you've done 2 internships at least, right? How do you get 2 internships? Your fundamentals has to be very strong. You need to go to the social media, show up your work, right? Of course, GitHub is increasing every day, so you'll get a lot of Python codes, right? Solution to a problem. A very lot of question which comes from when I teach, right, comes from the fact from the students that Dr. Roy, where we will get the data? There is no data. Who will give us data other than Kaggle, right, and some data sets, right, which are public? There is no data. I said it's a myth. It is actually a myth. Data is everywhere. You just need to understand how do you want to get the data.
Exactly.
Right? It's very interesting. You are wearing an Apple Watch or a smart watch. There are APIs which are available in order you to take out the data from the watch.
Yeah.
Right? Everything has a data API associated today. Right? Even the fridge that you're using today at your home, there are APIs which are available which can take out data from your fridge.
Exactly.
Right? The only problem is you never thought that should I take data from the fridge and try to predict when the fridge is going to be dead?
Yeah.
That's not technology's problem. It is our problem.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you are trying to think Kaggle is going to give you data.
Interesting.
Correct? If I take the data out of fridge from my house and 10 my friend's house, it becomes a consumer electrics data.
Yeah.
But I am waiting for Kaggle to give me the data.
Exactly.
Why should I do that?
Exactly.
That is why I'm saying the art of getting data is physics. The way that you develop it is mathematics. Finding features is all about mathematics, right? It is important that you have intention and interest to doing both. You can get data everywhere. Just search it. There is data.
Great.
So you did everything on your own. You learned Python. You learned the fundamentals of data science, right? Practice. You showcased your results on internet. You got your first internship. You got your second internship. You landed up in the job. That is where the journey starts, actually. The journey never ends there. Your first expectation is that in your first year, right, because you are highly paid as compared to some of the other people, right, because you've done all of these, you're expected to grow on the same exponential tangent. You're not expected to perform as any other guy. Right? Now, what does it mean? Do I become a Superman? No, basically not. You need to now start learning or experiencing the domain. Right? What is the subject? Understand the problem and the domain behind the problem. Generally, what we try to do is, you got a fridge data. I'm just giving an example. Let's say refrigerator data. Okay. And I start utilizing convolution neural networks because that is my favorite algorithm.
Yeah.
The world does not work in that way.
Yeah. Exactly.
You should understand the problem, not the solution. The problem is more important in your first years of life. In the first 5 years of your career, your intention has to understand as many problems as possible. Okay? And meticulously understand what is behind that problem. What is the domain? Right? What is the refrigerator made out of? Who created that refrigerator? Is the company well equipped to do things, right? From the perspective, right? How many refrigerators like this went into a problem? What is the root cause analysis, right, of a certain kind of a problem? Is there a pattern which is there? This science in data science, please do understand, before data there is science. The science of understanding the data is exploratory data analysis.
Great.
Exploration of the data is very important, or discovery of the data is very important. One of the things which EDA does not talk is the domain knowledge. Data will speak as the human being wants it to be spoken. Right, from the perspective. So in the first few years of your career, right, 2 to 3 years of your career, right, if you can stronghold domain knowledge on understanding problems, right, and your depth of exploration of the data becomes much more larger, your next future career for 10 years will be beautiful.
Great.
Please do understand that engineering the data, finding features, and exploration of the data is the main work of a data scientist. A scientist's job is to discover problems, not to find solutions.
Exactly.
Don't fit random forest and CNN just because you have to fit it. That's your favorite algorithm.
Exactly.
The world does not work that way. Right?
Exactly.
What is expected from a manager, from you, is you understand the problem and find legitimate solutions, right? Because it's about the time, cost, and the approach to discovery, right? From the perspective. So once you get a problem, explore every avenue possible. There are very simple solutions to particular problems, right? From the perspective, take about the latest development, right? Fast Fourier transformation, right? FFT, which we call it. Google started with neural networks to optimize, which is called BERT. Now they have landed up to FFT. Fast Fourier transformation was invented long back. Right? It did not come into light because technologically we were not advanced. Now the chip is getting into the car. Right? That is where life is. Right? So that is your first 5 years of life, basically. Right? If you can do this, right, and then in the next 3 to 4 years, during that time, you have to choose your path. Would you like to go into research, right? Then you focus on understanding more and more problems. But the world now requires, if you're in a corporate life, the world more requires you to be in corporate scenario. If you have to grow, you need to be accustomed to make the model to production. Okay, what does that mean? Most of the machine learning or whatever that you call it, right, which is called artificial intelligence, is actually about a product or a website or a mobile app, right? So you have to always think about, if I solve a problem for Bright, how will it consume that app? Right? I can't give you a random forest to use, right? What will you do with the PPT? Right? It has to come to life. Always think about that. How 100 people or users will consume my data science algorithm. So consumption becomes much important for a data scientist. So what does a data scientist do? Basically, first understand fundamentals, then understand the entire process of data engineering, right? And features extraction, right? In this between develop models, and you keep on tuning and optimizing the model till you get a desired result for a particular solution. And the fourth and the most important thing is you need to understand the language in which the software engineering team works. If Bright is a data scientist and Roy is a software engineering manager, Bright has to exactly tell me how this algorithm has to work in a mobile app. Okay, you have to give this ABCD inputs. You click on a button, and this button will give you, let's say, air pressure problem, right? Predict the air pressure in Delhi, right? Predict the carbon monoxide level in Delhi. There has to be an output there. So there is an input and output. That is how the software world understands. The data scientist has to talk in the same language. This comes in the probably the 4th or 5th year of your learning. This is where you need to go for. If you then start accumulating this language, right, and you get in, this is where we call as applied data scientist. You already know how to apply the data science. That's what the world will require 10 years or 5 years down the line, even today.
Great.
That's the journey of a data science, and it is still keeping on evolving, right, from the perspective. Because the needs of human beings are evolving, and the requirement from a data scientist is also growing. Basically, you are supposed to know a lot of things by default. So hence, when people say it is the highest paying job in the world, it comes with flaws, and conditions apply from the perspective. So very few basic principles. Keep your foundation strong, understand the domains as much as you can, and understand how it can be consumed. So product understanding and design thinking is very important for a data scientist, as like mathematics and statistics.
Great. This is a whole college from first year to fourth year. I mean, given here. I mean, our colleges don't give us these kind of insights. You just go through some PPT and you're done. You come out and can deliver.
Hopefully, the colleges around the world, especially in developing countries, India, Africa, right, and so on and so forth, will soon realize, because this is where all the talent of the world, most of it, right, a lot of people come in. In developed countries like America, right, and Japan, they already know. So hence their educational standards, right, came through that approach. Basically, an American kid is born with a product mindset to sell something, right, from the perspective. We have not been able to do it. However, a lot of research around the world is done from kids from the developing nations, right, from the perspective. It is only the change of mindset. But as in countries like India, where almost 20 to 30 lakh people graduate every year, which is 4 times the number of America, right? Or maybe 10 times the number of America, right? You need to choose your own path. The faster that you realize, your future will be much more secure. Right? There is a change which is coming in, right? But changing the curriculum and saying that my professors will come ahead and tell me in the second year to choose an internship, it's a very tough job. A professor is teaching 50 people. Please understand. He doesn't have time. He doesn't have time for himself. What is he going to tell you? So you need to understand your future in yourself.
Exactly.
That's more important, right? And people like me pass on the knowledge to you. You need to pass it on to people across, right? People go into social media much more. It should get into the actual understanding and so on and so forth, right? From the perspective, things will keep on changing.
Great. That's awesome. That's great insight there. I've learned a lot.
So I would end up saying that if you have to bring social change, right? Of course, as in environmental change and we're talking about trees, mammals, right? Environment, ecological system. This is also knowledge that people should take up, right? People like you and me, right? This is our burden to the society. If you have done a master's in analytics, right? Your job is also not just doing your work, but reach out to your village, reach out to your community, and spread this so that the parents, right, understand and give it to the kids, right? Before they drop into the high school, they should have this in their brains that this is where the future is, right? From the perspective. So this cannot be done by few professors in the
Yeah.
world. It's
Yeah.
not possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. This is awesome. I've enjoyed this conversation.